Mike McCool here with the Royal Examiner. Today I'm at the Warren Heritage Society, and with me is Chief Archivist Tony Carter. We got a lot of things going on this, probably in the next 30 days, 30, 45 days at the Heritage Society and in our community. The first thing we have coming up is the yard sale here at the Warren Heritage Society. Tell us a little bit about that. That's this Saturday, by the way.
It's Saturday. It's going to start approximately 8 a.m. It's basically stuff that's accumulated over the years, and we have down in the basement of the Ivy Lodge. I think there's some maybe paintings, there's books, there's the old irons, which you used to put on the stove to heat them up.
They make great doorstops.
They do. That's what somebody else said too. They do. So we might put a few of those in there because I think we got like 15. So
Right.
But yeah, we'll be doing that on Saturday.
Right, and this is all to raise money for the society, a fundraiser in a way.
Yeah,
And then help a little fall cleaning.
exactly. Things accumulate.
Well, you know, it's fun. You have a limited space here, and as an archivist, you know, you got to try to get the best and it has the broadest appeal. So there's a lot of things we got a lot of things of, and other things you just got one thing of. So
Right.
it is interesting. If you've never been over to the Ivy Lodge or to the Warren Heritage Society, it's really kind of a neat thing to kind of walk through there and, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't know that. And it's more than just Warren County. That's the focus, but there's a lot of things for our region and things that really go back to our history. It's quite interesting.
We get a lot of inquiries, I think, from locals, but we also get inquiries from people who moved away, but they had their ancestors here. Back behind you, that's our reading room, where we have a lot of genealogies, things like that. We've got the yearbooks from Warren County High School, as well as ones from John S. Mosby.
Right.
And, you know, history is not just 200 years ago.
Right.
But history is also what happened yesterday.
Right.
And we've got a lady was cleaning out at the Blue Ridge Technical School, and she came across this big box of Waco highlights from 1940 to 2000. And that was really neat. I went through there and looked at it, and I saw a picture of my uncle who used to be the class president. First day of school, 1956. There's a picture of my mom at the steps.
It's kind of cool, isn't it?
It is. And there again, these are people that you know. And,
Right.
And then I found a bunch on myself and classmates in 78.
Right.
So, and speaking of stuff that accumulates, and that's really how I got started here, because we sold our business. My mother passed, and she kept everything. So I didn't want to just put it in a dumpster.
Sure.
I was taking stuff here. I was taking stuff to the Methodist Church or whatever, and let them deal with it if they wanted to keep it or go through it. And by doing that, the Jim Heflin, the archivist, had retired at the end of the year. So they said, you were born and raised here.
Sure.
You know local history. And I told him, I said, well, if I don't know it, I'll just make it up.
Sure.
So,
That's what most historians do, right?
But that's the thing, though. We're always interested in somebody when they're cleaning out their attic or something like that. They come across something.
Sure.
If they want to bring it down here, and then we can kind of assess it.
Yeah, take a look at it. It might be good, might not. We don't know what we have until we look at it.
Exactly.
It's kind of like those guys at the pawn shop. Remember the deal? Well, that's nothing. Oh, well, now this one here is really valuable. You're thinking, you always say everybody's looking for that $1 million painting, hidden in their attic.
It might be an idea. Maybe we can open up a pawn shop
There you
down
go.
here, fundraiser. But anyway.
Anyway, Tony's having fun here. I can tell. I mean, I've been here many times, and he's really enjoying this, your new career.
Yeah, it's really been neat.
It is. It's quite interesting.
I've only been here 6 months, so it's constantly learning. We have a whole bunch of material, which is the easy part. The hard part's finding it when you need to and go through it. I mean, back in the archives, it just goes on and on and on. We had stuff donated from Laura Virginia Hale.
Right.
And then Rebecca Good with a lot of genealogies and all those things. So, if anybody's interested in looking up their family or old buildings, let us know.
Well, I just finished making some copies of that Lucy Buck, was that what it was? One of the Buck diaries, and that was
Yeah,
and it was like, it's like 4 volumes of something of handwritten diaries and things, and back in I think around 18 something, if I recall. But it's interesting that people kept diaries and journals and things, and it's I looked at some things from my relatives from came over on the boat, and there they are right there in the census, and it's amazing. You're thinking like they have records that go way back.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that's the yard sale.
Right.
So it's more than a yard sale. It's like, come see what we got. It might be some interest to you, and it'll help raise a few dollars for the Heritage Society sale. Okay. Then we have Constitution Day. That's coming up. That's an event that I think Larry Johnson has something to do with that.
Correct.
The reading of the U.S. Constitution. Now, when is that?
That's going to be September 22nd, which I believe is a Thursday.
Right.
And it's going to start at 10 and continue all day. I think he's going to have several readings throughout the day. And that's to celebrate the signing of the Constitution
Right.
years ago.
Right. Yeah. And he did a similar thing on July 4th holiday. We did the Declaration of Independence here. And we covered that event. It's really interesting. It's really interesting, and they just take these things for granted, and all of a sudden, most people have probably never read the Constitution, and even in school, they just kind of give it a brush over, and I think it's an important thing to do. Okay, now after Constitution Day is a big event that we have in our community, and the U's have opened up the Bel Air home again for you to raise a little money for the society.
Right.
So when is that?
That's going to be September 24th at 2 p.m. And I know the Piedmont Heritage Agency or
Right.
whatever area historical agency, they were there in May, and I think you were there.
Right, we did a story on that, and hundreds of people responded to that, and just loved it. They had a lot of pictures.
Oh yeah, that was great. I mean, there's a lot of pictures.
And then, of course, we did that to promote the ones coming up on the 24th, because
Right.
people go through that. It's just an interesting place. It's an interesting place.
Now that, you can go to the website, which is WarrenHeritageSociety.org, and you can purchase your tickets online. Right now they're $50 per person and $40 for members. And it's going to be catered by Devin Smith, and I think they'll also be serving some wine.
Sure,
so
sure.
it should be a great event.
On the front porch.
On the front porch. Yeah, and that's where Robert E. Lee actually
Yeah,
stayed there.
yeah.
And that house was the first, or one of the first, if not the first, masonry buildings, houses
Right,
here in Warren
and
County.
you see that in a lot of the Civil War paintings, that building, that house in it. So that's really interesting. And then, of course, we have the Festival of Leaves. This is the 50th anniversary of that. For 49 years, the Warren Heritage Society put this thing on. It was an annual event.
Right.
And I know now the Front Royal Independent Business Alliance is kind of taking the reins and getting that thing organized. That on the 14th of October will be the town is putting on, that's a Friday, I believe.
Right.
And we're going to have a block party at the gazebo to kind of kick things off.
Right.
And then the 15th of October will be the Festival of Leaves. And of course, vendors and bucksters and people dressed up in old period clothes. We're going to just have a little bit of everything, I think, on there. It'll be a great event, kind of bring the heritage back to the community again. It's 50 years we've been putting this thing on, and it's really one of the top festivals in the valley. I think people come from all over, so it'd be great. That's October 15th. So there's just tons of stuff going on here. What else you got on your list? You've got a big long list
Well, the
here.
other thing too is with the festival, I think the block party, I believe Rick Novak's showing a movie
Right,
that night,
right.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
I asked him, I said, how did you come across that? He said, somebody asked to do it. So
That's right.
That's fine.
And he's been showing these, he called popcorn movies or something, and they're taking old classic movies and putting them on the big screen.
Right.
And they're doing that, I think, every other Tuesday. And that's kind of a neat thing, too. Out at Christendom College, Dr. Ona-Lee McGraw teaches a class using old classic movies to teach morals and ethics.
Right.
And it was just a lot different time, and these old classic movies have we don't have a lot to learn from them. It's just a different time. So it's interesting. It's just like the things here. I'm always amazed at how we cooked our meals and how did we even get this far? You wonder sometimes if, how did we make it? You read through the Bible of all the stories and the events that happened, and you're thinking, actually, nothing has changed. We're just as bad as we were then. But just all the things we evolved to. Now we think about smartphones and computers.
Oh, yeah.
But and today I read something about schools closing because they don't have air conditioning. I mean, I'm sure you grew up in these right here in Warren County without air
Oh,
conditioning.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Back
How do we
then-
survive?
Well, back then, you went outside because
Yep.
it was hotter inside than it was
Yeah,
outside.
yeah,
But you're talking about some of those things. But we had the Balthus House, which is the oldest house on Chester Street.
right.
And I know there's a group of school kids that came, and Dewey Vaughn over at the Warren Rifles Museum, he kind of gave the tour, and he was telling me that, and he said he thought he might have scared him because he told him, said, back in the day, you'd get up, you have to, milk the cows, feed the chickens. You didn't have smartphones, and they were just aghast. What, really? How did they get
No
by?
internet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
realize that if you wanted your house warm, you had to get out and cut the wood and split it and bring it in and stoke the fire multiple times.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, it was a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Speaking of the houses, we got some tours coming up here that you've been doing, these walking tours. What about that? Are we still doing that? Or we got a few
Yeah.
scheduled?
Yeah, we put together a little brochure, and we got some signage, so if somebody wants to come by and just do a self-guided tour around the grounds. We've got the Balthus House, which you can go inside, and that can either be with a tour by Jan Long, she used to be a docent here 20 years ago, and so she's very knowledgeable. But we got that, then we got the country store, we got the blacksmith shop, the swing house where the kids would play, and some an old tram car, I think, from Riverton out here. I think there's a piece of the old bridge going over the South Fork, North Fork River, and so just a lot of stuff down. And of course, the Bell Boyd House,
Right.
which I think that used to be behind Frank's Element restaurant now, and I believe they moved that in 1982 down there. So we have self-guided tours with those buildings, and of course we have the Ivy Lodge too, which is kind of like our museum with different displays
Right.
and things like that up there too.
Well, that Ivy Lodge, and people don't realize, that was our first Samuel's Public Library.
Oh, I remember.
You remember that?
I
The
used to go
signing.
there.
They're having a big event at the library, and we just did some big pictures from them, and realizing that this Ivy Lodge was Samuel's Public
That's
Library.
right. That's right. That's right. And I think in '77 they needed to find a bigger library, so that's when they built the one down on Villa Avenue.
Right.
And when they did that, I think the Heritage Society at that time used to meet, and I think they wound up giving them that building. And then they also constructed the room we're here in now, and this was the archives. And I can take you back there and show you all the stuff we had, but all that stuff was just jam-packed in here, so now we got a little bit more space. And I think they expanded this in 2008.
Right.
So,
Well, there's a lot of things going on. We've expanded the Warren Heritage Site website. We got blogs going on. Follow them on Facebook. We're starting to get a little more traffic now following the Heritage Society. There's a lot of cool things posted there that you can find out. Get on their mailing list and you'll get the email updates. Check their Facebook page out. We'll put all links to that below the story, below the video here. But there's just a lot of things going on here at the Warren Heritage Society that you live in this community, it'd be nice to know a little bit about it, and even if you didn't grow up here, it's
right,
neat.
well, no, and that's what happens. I was talking to somebody the other day, and you have the Heritage Society, you have the Skyline Drive, you have the river, you have Skyline Caverns, you have a lot of stuff, all the golf courses.
Right.
And a lot of the locals, sometimes, they've never even been there. And we had the tour a week ago Saturday, and we had about 14 or 15 people. I think most of them were locals, residents, and they never had been here before. So
Right.
it's a matter of getting the word out, and you're doing a great job helping us do that,
Right,
and we appreciate that.
That's what we want to do. It's just we have so many cool things in our community, and that's what kind of makes the small town charm that we have and what people kind of like. This just didn't happen overnight.
No.
And these are, our ancestors is what got us where we're at. We can blame them, right? And but find out a little bit, and then there's maps, and you look at old pictures, and looking at one on the wall there of an aerial view of the town in the 50s, and you can identify a lot of things in the streets, and you're thinking, well, we haven't changed that area at all. And other ones, where'd that come from? All these new things. And so it's just a cool thing. And of course, we had that major fire on Main Street back, and that's how we got the gazebo and all that things going on here. So, it looks like some people are coming in the door here, and I'm sure they want to get on camera.
Well, that's something
That's
too.
Melanie. She doesn't like camera.
Yeah,
She's
she does.
camera shy.
But she does a great job.
She does. She's the executive director here. She does a great job doing it. So she's camera shy, but we won't force the camera on her this time.
But you're talking about that fire. That was, I think, 69, 71, something
Right.
like that. It used to be Stokes Furniture Store. And then they moved over where Main Street Pawn is now.
Right.
And later, it used to be Tenant Furniture Store.
Right.
And
Sears and Roebuck.
Sears and Roebuck. And then right there at that corner, they called it Compton's Corner.
Right.
And we have a photo of when it was all dirt and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it just, businesses come and go. And it's a matter of just keeping track of them and seeing them and all those things. So
Yeah, there was a factory here that made the little the telegraph toppers, those glass things here. I can't recall what the name of it is, but they manufactured those right here in Front Royal back in the 1800s and things. I was talking to Shea Parker and made a T-shirt on that. So they're just cool things, and we have it. And I just think it'd be it's neat to know those things. So come over to the Warren Heritage Society. They're open at 10 o'clock in the morning, I believe. Here, open.
The archives are open from 10 to 4 Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay.
And then the rest of the properties are open Tuesday through Saturday at this point, 10 to 4.
Right.
And again, it's a matter of going on the website. Again, it's warrenheritagesociety.org and get updates and
Sure.
things like that. The other thing too is, we're always looking for volunteers.
Exactly.
I know back in the day, the board members used to be the docents and they had to give the tours, but we're always looking for volunteers to help out, and there's all sorts of different ways to help out.
Yeah.
I know one gentleman, Paul Hunt, before I got here some years back, he took all Laura Virginia Hale's files and copied them. So that way you don't have to handle the original documents.
Right.
But he came down and did that on a volunteer basis. So
Right.
there's always something.
There's always
about
something,
volunteer.
some skill you have can be used here. And again, if maybe you can only volunteer once or twice a year, once or twice a month. Tony will find somewhere to use you. That's great.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, we need more volunteers everywhere, and just maybe the Heritage Society isn't exactly your forte, but maybe St. Luke's Clinic,
Right.
someplace else.
Sure,
And,
sure.
We need those volunteers, and unfortunately, with everybody being busy with work and travel and
Sure.
they don't volunteer the way they used to.
Right. No, they don't. Every organization
Oh, yeah.
can use the volunteers. But anyway, it's a great work. It's a great activity we have here. It's kind of like it's a hidden gem
Oh, it is.
on Chester Street. So there's tons of stuff coming up. We got this big yard sale on Saturday. There might be some goodies that you might be interested in there. Then we have the Constitution Day. Then we have the Bel Air Tour. Then we have the Festival of Leaves.
Right.
And that's just taking us for the next month.
Right, and that's something too they did, and I was talking to Dewey before you came, and they've not really, it's been talked about, but they need to look at it and determine. But I know years and years and years ago, I think Dewey said he was part of it, and they had a murder walking tour around Halloween on Chester Street.
Right.
So it'd be kind of neat if they could do something like that again this year, but that's something that Ms. Gregory and the board can discuss to see if they want to move forward with that.
Of course, we have to put a plug in for our zombie walk. That's
yeah.
on the
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the 29th. So
Yeah.
there's just so many stuff going on, and these are all free events, basically free events. The zombie walk thing. This is the 10th anniversary of that. I know it sounds kind of who dresses up as zombie, but people come from all over the region for that crazy thing, and it's a lot of adult fun. But there's kids, and it's a good activity, and we're going to walk down Royal Avenue, down Main Street, and meet there on Chester, and David Downs will have a band going on over there and playing. So there's just a lot of cool activities, things going on, and it's a lot of fun to dress up. It's like at the Sammy Con at the library that they have every year. My kids in their 40s just dress. They all go out. The whole family goes all crazy on this cosplay stuff. So it's a good excuse to be a kid.
One other thing on the Festival of Leaves, we're going to be making, I think, apple butter down here. I mean, we're going to
Okay.
be open on the grounds.
Right.
I think we'll have people dressed in period costumes. We'll have a blacksmith, I believe. And, people can wander around and ask questions, and hopefully they'll pique their interest.
Sure.
And then they can come back later. And the other thing was, like I said, I told you what our hours were. However, if somebody wants to schedule an appointment, we'll do everything we can to accommodate them.
Okay.
Because like I said, Tuesday through Thursday may not be conducive to some people's schedules.
Right.
So, the best thing to do is to email us and say, here's what I'm looking for. That gives us an opportunity to go ahead and research, have it ready for when they come. So, you know, it's a lot of
And
good
if we
things
get
happen.
more volunteers, we could have longer hours.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's great. Support the Warren Heritage Society. It's a gem in our community, and for our future residents to come back and look and say, look at them crazy people there in 2022 and see how they've survived, 100 years from now. It'd be great. Tony, thanks so much for talking to us. Thanks to Melanie for inviting us over, as always, and we're doing all we can to help promote the Warren Heritage Society. So please support it. We'll see you Saturday for their yard sale, and of course, the Constitution Day, the Bel Air home. Now that's an interesting thing, and it's good. It's $50, but that's money going to the Warren Heritage Society. And we thank Jeff Liu and his family for opening the home up to allow us to do that. And again, that's another one of those gyms that's been here since the 1700s, and it's been well kept up in their family. So a lot of cool things, and of course the Festival of Leaves all coming. Great activities, bringing our community together, and we really appreciate everything that you guys do here and keeping us on record. Appreciate it, Tony. Thanks again.
Thank you very much.